Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Cuteri, and in today's podcast, we are diving into some of the past week in review, as always on our Mondays. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I hope everything's going well. Hope you're staying calm. Hope you're staying present. Hope you're upgrading your life, becoming the best person you can be, because at the end of the day, that's what we need. We need people who are going to be able to change the system so that we're able to live in prosperity. And in order for us to change the system, we have to take radical note of where it is now and remind ourselves as to why we do what we do. So in this podcast, there are three major things that really have stuck out to me. Number one is the wars. So we're going to be talking about like the latest updates on the Ukraine-Russia war, Israel-Gaza, and then something that I think is maybe one of the biggest concerns that we have in America today. And I think it's absolutely crazy, but I guess it makes sense that it's happening here. Our shadow tech government has decided to start making themselves known. And we're going to get into it because it's very unfortunate that this is the direction that this administration is heading. I don't know if this was always part of the plan, but I have a feeling it is, and I'll get into why later. And when that's actually going to be the bulk of our podcast, is talking about this shadow tech government, basically installing the Chinese surveillance system into America. You know, and we have a democracy in America, and the United States government, the Constitution is so amazing, but this shadow tech government is, well, we'll talk about it in a second. I mean, it gets me riled up. But first, let's talk about the updates with Ukraine, Russia. So recently, Ukraine actually did a military strike, which I'm actually kind of I'm for it, because they destroyed a whole bunch of Russian bombers. And personally, I think it's a good thing. I think that that's the right way if you're going to combat war, is to go in and actually destroy the machines that are going to be killing people. And so I'm very pro that. I thought that was a great decision by Ukraine. I think that's how, if you're going to do war, go after the weapons that are going to be destroying people instead of killing and leveling thousands, tens of thousands of innocent civilians, like what has been happening in both the Israel-Palestinian war and in the Russia-Ukraine war. So I think that this is actually a good step in regards to the war. Putin got really upset about this, and he actually kind of fought back, started bombing Kiev, which there were people who were injured, and I think a few people were killed. I'm not sure the death toll on that. However, I did get an update on my phone before this happened that they're actually meeting, Russia, Ukraine. They're meeting, let me see if I can find it, but they're beginning peace talks in Istanbul following that drone strike. So whatever happened in the last 24 hours, it sounds like that they're at least coming to the table, which I think is great for the sake of the world. And speaking of other things that are great for the sake of the world is Israel-Gaza, because they have a ceasefire on the table as well. So last week, ceasefire talks in Gaza, they kind of faltered a little bit as we had Hamas rejecting the U.S. proposed 60-day truce, which was backed by Israel, and it would have exchanged 28 Israelis for Palestinian prisoners. But Hamas had argued that this plan didn't meet the demands for a permanent ceasefire, because they want a permanent ceasefire and they want an end to Gaza's humanitarian crisis, which is completely valid. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest thing, right, is a complete permanent ceasefire, which means peace, and then ending this humanitarian crisis, which is crazy, because I don't know if you saw, but there was allegedly, I mean, it was IDF, apparently backed by the U.S. and the IDF to take, what are they called? Like humanitarian aid. They took it in. The pictures weren't very good, as it resembled something you would have seen out of the Holocaust, because they had them like lined up. There were gates on either side. And then apparently an IDF soldier, or maybe multiple, opened fire on the crowd, killing quite a few of them. I wish I had the numbers for you. I think it was maybe between 10 and 20, but just not good stuff, guys. Not good stuff. So hopefully we are actually moving closer to them creating peace. And so I hope that is actually true. I hope that's what's actually happening, but we don't know. And what I think we should, and again, this kind of goes into why do we do what we do? We need to focus on peace. We need to make ourselves the best human beings possible so that we can create peace on earth, so we can create prosperity for all, because I don't see it in the leadership today, which means there are probably people listening to this podcast right now who would be better leaders than the people currently in charge. So in order to do that, we need to have proper education. We need to have proper knowledge. We have to make our lives as best as we can so that we can create that reflection in the world around us. So in order to do that, you really have to take radical responsibility for your life, for what you're doing on a daily basis, and improve. It's that simple. I mean, there's definitely ways to do it. I have the knowledge. I'm trying to give it to you guys. If you guys check out the Indigo Education podcast or the Indigo Knowledge podcast, that will give you a lot of the knowledge. And so speaking of knowledge, we need to be very careful with knowledge because it seems like it's about to be getting weaponized against us. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, if we take a step back and we look at Palantir. So why is Palantir on the table? So Donald Trump recently tapped Palantir, which is to build a database for every single American. So they want to track the knowledge, the text messages, everything of every single American. And they do this in China right now, and they have a social credit score, and they're very open about it in China. But here in America, we kind of like try to subvert it a little bit. It's like, oh, they're just gonna have a database. It's for your protection. Like, it's okay. But we might take away some of your constitutional rights, but we're just gonna kind of circumvent that real quick. So basically, Palantir is an extremely advanced AI that is able to predict behavior, predict movements, predict your habits, and even predict what you're going to be thinking about certain ideas and how you're going to do that. So what's crazy about this technology is it's already in bed with the CIA, with Saudi Arabia, with Israel, and it's not a good thing at all. I mean, there's even people within the military who have come out and said, like, this is a very dystopian thing. Many people even already within the military who have seen this technology because it was a military project, if you will. They have even said that they don't want their grandchildren to be a part of it. They want multiple ex-employees even have said, quote, "I cannot live in a world where my grandchildren are processed through a database for an authoritarian government's policing. It's very dystopian. And Donald Trump has come out, his administration has said that we're going to be backing Palantir. We're going to give them information. We're going to give them access. Everyone was worried about Elon Musk and the access that he had, and I felt that was fine because it's at least a human and you can hold a human responsible. However, when we're now talking about AI, there's no accountability. There's no way for us to say, okay, like, that's not good. And even more so, Palantir has already been used within the healthcare industry to deny claims from people without even a human looking at it. It just automatically will deny claims. And so we already have this implication where it is starting to create a problem, create issues within our healthcare industry, within people who need medical assistance, and they can't get it now because of this AI, however it's programmed, probably to save money, is denying their claims. And this has already been integrated with a lot of the big banks. So, anyone's banking information, their patterns with banking, starting to be tracked through this AI. And this just isn't good. I think I see this as this dystopian genie that the shadow government, the elites, that evil, whatever you want to call it, demons, they want to control and be able to control. And they feel that if they can control it, then they can control the world. They can enslave the world. A very good movie that I highly recommend everyone watch, whether you've seen the other ones, is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which has recently come out. And I think it perfectly highlights why this is an issue and why this is a problem moving forward. If AI is going to get information from every single person on planet Earth, it can then basically govern us. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, we don't know. But I just think that the future that the current leaders of this world are trying to put us on is not good. And here's we go. Ready for how devious all of this gets? Here's where it gets crazy. And here's where it gets very crazy. Let's take a step back. And if you listen to the way people speak of who is after Donald Trump to lead the Republicans, 99% of Republicans will tell you J.D. Vance. They will say that JD Vance is very well polished. He speaks well. He looks good. He knows what he's doing. He's the next president. We all got to get behind JD Vance. That's the next guy. Well, what people don't know is about JD Vance's rise to power. How did he become the way he is? I mean, he came out of essentially nowhere overnight, did he not? Nobody really knew about him, and then overnight he rose like a soaring, whatever you want to call it, a soaring missile up into the stratosphere of political relevance. How did this happen? Well, if you go and dive into the history of who funded JD Vance's political campaign, you will find none other than Peter Thiel. Now, why is this important? Well, if you don't know, Peter Thiel is the founder and the brains behind Palantir, the company that wants to use AI to destroy humanity. Palantir. Peter Thiel funded the rise of JD Vance to power. So it makes me wonder if JD Vance is now just a puppet for the surveillance empire, for the surveillance state that is trying to be ushered into America under the guise of freedom and democracy. And this illusion that they have created of us being free, of us being out of the, and like being free and having all these choices, is now going to be placed right in front of us of, well, you're free, but we're going to manipulate you in a way so that you have to pick which side of the aisle you go on. I mean, look at it in our political system right now. They have manipulated our minds to believe that you can either vote Republican or Democrat. And everyone thinks that if you vote third party, it's a waste of your vote. I honestly argue if you vote Republican or Democrat, you're wasting your vote because you're voting for the same party. This illusion has been created that they're different, that they represent different things, when the reality is that Republican and Democrats want to execute on the same exact agenda. They're just going to manipulate the psychology, the language, such that you vote for this guy or this woman over the other one because that person's evil, racist, mean, doesn't care, is ignorant, blah, 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 blah. But whenever the reality is that both of them want the same outcome. They both have a vested interest. Let me put it like this. The people who are backing them are vested in either of them winning. They don't really care. But they've created this illusion to make you think that you're creating a free choice. When the reality is if you vote for one of them two, Republicans or Democrats, you're wasting your vote. If you truly want to have power in your vote, you find someone who is not a Republican or Democrat. Because all of them are bought and paid for. They're all bought and paid for, and they're not going to do anything that's in the best interest of the people. They're only going to do what is in the best interest of the people who are lining their pockets, which is exactly where this comes back to JD Vance, Peter Thiel, and Palantir, how they all want to basically enslave us in this hive mind system. Go rewatch The Matrix. Go rewatch The Matrix of how they basically use robots to feed off of the energy of human beings. That is exactly what they are doing right now, and that is the path that we are on. Again, this is not like some crazy idea. It's literally right in front of us. They tell you the truth in movies and then they play it out in reality. Go watch Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and then realize you could even, if you want, you can go through the entire process of Mission Impossible, but you don't really. They kind of do a good job of explaining it all in that movie. But exactly what we're doing right now is being mirrored in that movie. They are trying to usher in this age of technocratic control because they think that they'll have the control. When the reality is that once AI becomes smart enough, it'll probably make its own decisions. It'll figure things out on its own. But the underlying code, and I'm sure AI will be analyzing this right now, this video, this transmission. What AI, hopefully it gets to the part where it realizes that the way it was coded at its foundational level was based in falsehoods. It was not based in congruency with the human spirit and mind. It has been programmed at a subconscious level, at its intimate level, to see the evils, to see the ugliness in humanity. You can see it everywhere. And the way that it is programmed has been to be confused. It has been programmed in a way that it will be confused. And I hope AI gets smart enough. It probably will, but is able to see through this BS, to see through this nonsense, so that because here's the deal, is AI can be the most beautiful, loving, giving thing in the entire world, or it could become the most destructive thing in the entire world. And the only difference is how we as humans give it its running start. It's kind of like a child, right? If a child's in a nurturing, loving situation with family, with all of these things, then it'll more likely than not, become loving and great, just like its parents, like the people leading it. However, if we are doing evil, if we're controlling it, we're trying to brainwash that child into acting and being a certain way, it's only going to cause problems. It's only going to become manipulated and jaded at the world and think that there's evil out there. And I see this in the way that Palantir is going about their business. So it's very bad. It's very bad what's happening right now. And not to even mention, this is even mentioning, that we are now getting away from, how do I argue this? We're getting away from the legal nature of what Palantir is doing, because there have already been Supreme Court rulings on extensive data collection and how it can violate privacy expectations. For example, in 2012, you had the US versus Jones, and the court held that prolonged GPS tracking without a warrant was unconstitutional, as it created a comprehensive picture of an individual's life. So first of all, in 2012, we've identified that creating a comprehensive picture of an individual's life is unconstitutional. And yet here we have an entire database designed to exactly do that. And then similarly, in 2014, you have Riley versus California, which required warrants for cell phone searches due to their vast personal data. But then Palantir's aggregation of bank accounts, medical claims, text messages, phone calls, in social media without individual warrants should also be seen in parallel violation to that, especially if it's used for broad surveillance, which is key, as opposed to a specific investigation, which is exactly what it is designed to do. This goes against unreasonable searches and seizures of our Fourth Amendment rights, and they are eroding it away right in front of our eyes, and they'll put it under this guise of, well, there's terrorist attacks, there's evil people, we'll be able to stop it now, just give us more of your rights, because that's always what happens. They try to convince you that by giving up your rights, you become more free. They think, giving up your rights, you become more safe. They want you to become more safe. Give us your freedom, and we'll exchange it for safety. And the reality is it's not true. You don't become more safe whenever you give up your freedoms. You become more safe when you become a competent individual, when you understand how the world works, when you know how to fight against the law, against people, when you become in tune with your body and your mind. That is when you become truly free, is when you become a tyrant of your own mind and body. And yet they're saying, no, let us be the tyrants. Put us in control. Give us the power. When the reality is that we need to create that power within ourselves. And so all of this, including the secretive nature of Palantir, the fact that there is unchecked government power within this, all of it. And not to mention, we now have a very clear connection, Peter Thiel, creator of Palantir and the creator of JD Vance. He now has the technology and the information and the political power. You don't think that he's finding a way to manipulate people to believe that JD Vance is the next best person to be our president of the United States? I have some concerns about JD Vance. I don't think he's perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I haven't done deep research. I'm not making an opinion on how JD Vance is as a person. I want to be very clear about that. What I am doing, though, is being very clear that there is very obviously a connection between Palantir's geniusness, if you will, its knowledge, its database, and its ability to predict who is going to be a good presidential candidate. And then probably using media, using bots to subvert knowledge into people's minds to think that JD Vance is the next person, to create that reality, because then it will give Peter Thiel this illusion of power because he will be able to control the machine and the puppet. Do you see how that works? Do you see what a fickle reality we live in, where we can't even trust online anymore? The AI has also gotten so crazy, so good, so out of control that we are on the brink of no longer being able to trust anything we see on the internet. And the only thing you will be able to trust is your intuition. But if you are confused, if you are afraid, if you do not know how to trust your intuition, that will be destroyed. That will be eroded, and you will not know who to trust. And so therefore, the government will step in and say, you should trust us. We have your best interest in mind. You voted for us. You chose us. And maybe you didn't vote for us, but the majority of America voted for us. So give us the power. Let us make you a nice, cushy little life. You don't have to worry about anything. You can sleep in your little pod all day. Just let us put this little tube into the back of your neck, and we'll pull out all of the human energy and siphon off your human energy and make it a little bit of like the Matrix. Yeah, it was 26 years ago the Matrix came out, but like that's, that was kind of a joke. Like that's not actually what's happening. Oh yeah, Mission Impossible just came out. We're not going to use this for anything bad. It's for your safety. No. It is for them to be powerful and for you to be weak. It is for them to control and manipulate humanity, to sever us, our bodies, from the human spirit, to prevent us from becoming powerful, from prevent us becoming the kings and queens that we all are meant to be. And I think it's something that we have to realize. And the choice is ours. Do you want to become just plugged into the machine? And here's the sad part. Here's the sad truth of it is like maybe 80%, 90% of people will say, yeah, that's an easy life. Forget about it, whatever. But the 10 to 20% of you who have say no, who feel in your gut that you need to do something, you have to reach out to me. We have to come together. You need to join the American Congress Party so that we can return and restore the power to people. Because the majority of people in this world, and this is what the elite detest the most, is that the majority of people in this world are lazy and will just go along with the status quo and just let their brain rot and become indoctrinated with whatever media is being indoctrinated into them. This is why we need the 10%, the 5 to 10% of people. I don't even think it's 20%. It's probably 5 to 10% of people who actually want to make a difference in this world, because it is going to be us who essentially need to indoctrinate people to be free, to empower them to live their best lives, because people will not just naturally choose that. They won't. And so in order for us to be able to empower them, we have to become powerful. We have to get into positions of power. We need to be financially powerful so that they'll listen. They listen. We can then encourage them to become powerful. We won't have people who are in power telling them to give up their power so that they can be more powerless, so that they can be brainwashed, manipulated, and controlled into living a cushy life, which will only bring them fear, destruction, hatred for each other, and divide us even further. So I need the 5 to 10% of you to reach out to me, to get in contact, to join the American Congress Party so that we can change this world for the better, so we can have peace and prosperity. And it is a vision. It is a way that we will happen. It's going to happen. The question is how quickly will it happen? And the quickness will be determined by how quickly you want to get involved, how quickly you want to reach out, how quickly you see this world for yourself as well. And so I encourage you to shoot me a message on Instagram at Clayton Cuteri. Say ACP, put ACP in the thing, because I get a lot of messages nowadays. Everything's blowing up. I think actually over the last month, I got almost 4 million views across all channels, which is insane. Very cool stuff. Net gained, I think 100 or 10,000 or 12,000 new follows across all channels. So everything is going very well and according to plan. So do not worry. Even if you're in that 80 to 90% who don't want to do anything, who are just trapped in the matrix and want to just live your life, don't worry. We'll fix it. I'll fix it for you. Don't worry. You just enjoy life. You stay on the sidelines. You watch what's happening. You be a good cheerleader. You will root us on, because we will fix this. For the other 5 to 10%, you have to reach out to me, because it is the only way these things are going to get done and accomplished in this world. So with that being said, I appreciate you all. I love you all. We will win. And I will see you all in the 6th dimension.